Many of us live life in a cage not built by anyone else but by ourselves. We limit what God can do through us simply because we doubt, we fear, we think small. But listen carefully. The moment you stop shrinking, the moment you stop playing safe, the moment you dare to step into the fullness of your calling, that is when the impossible becomes possible. Tonight, I want to show you how to break every limit, every boundary, and let God's purpose shine through your life like never before. Are you ready to step beyond yourself? Do you realize right now that you are sitting on a reservoir of power, a gift, a purpose so mighty that the world has not even begun to see its impact? Yet, so many of us walk around unaware, underestimating what God has placed inside of us. We live small lives because we think small thoughts. But I am here to tell you, the size of your life is determined not by your circumstances, but by the size of your vision. Pause and think about that for a moment. The size of your vision dictates the size of your life. So often, we confine ourselves within invisible walls. We believe limitations are external, but the truth is, most of the chains that hold us back are forged in our own minds. Every time you doubt, every time you shrink from the calling, you are saying to God, I do not believe in the fullness of what you placed in me. But what if I told you, God did not design you to live in halves, fragments, or pieces of your potential? He designed you to be a force, a light, a mover of destinies. Now, here is the critical question. Are you ready to step out of the shadows of self-imposed limitations? Are you ready to see beyond what you have been taught, beyond what your experiences have told you, and tap into the unlimited power that resides within you? This is where many stop, because stepping into God-sized potential requires courage. It requires abandoning the comfort of familiarity. It requires a boldness that is often frightening. But remember, fear is the enemy of destiny, and courage is the gateway to purpose. Imagine what your life would look like if every fear, every doubt, every insecurity vanished, and you allowed God to work without restriction through you. Your gifts, your talents, your influence, they were never meant to be hidden. They were never meant to sit quietly in the corners of your life. They were meant to shake nations, to transform communities, to inspire generations. And it begins with a choice, a conscious decision to release the potential inside you, to embrace the calling on your life fully and unapologetically. But here's the reality most people do not face. They want greatness, yet they refuse to be stretched. They desire impact, yet they cling to comfort. They long for transformation, yet they resist the process. The truth is, God-sized potential is not discovered by staying where you are. It is revealed when you step into the unknown, when you stretch beyond what you think is possible. And once you understand that, once you embrace that, you begin a journey that will leave the world amazed and yourself transformed in ways you cannot even yet imagine. So the question I leave you with now is this: will you continue to shrink, or will you finally unleash the power within you? Because the moment you do, the next step becomes inevitable. And it is the step that will break the chains you cannot see, the step that will bring the world to your doorstep in ways you never dreamed possible. Have you ever stopped to consider that the greatest prison you will ever face is not made of bars or walls, but of your own thinking? That's right, the chains that hold you back, the invisible shackles that stop you from walking into your destiny, are often forged by your own doubts, your own fears, and the lies you have told yourself. We live in a world where limitation is celebrated, where comfort is mistaken for security, and where small thinking is the standard. But let me tell you something. God never intended for you to live small, to play tiny, or to settle for mediocrity. Ask yourself this: how much of your life has been wasted because you believed the stories that others told you about who you are, or the stories you whispered to yourself in private moments? How many opportunities have passed you by because you told yourself, I'm not ready, or I'm not capable? These are not just words. They are chains, chains that bind your potential, chains that suffocate your purpose, chains that whisper, you are not enough. But here is the good news. Chains can be broken. Limitations can be shattered. And the moment you understand this, the moment you decide that you will no longer be held hostage by your own thinking, that is when freedom begins. Breaking these chains starts with awareness. You must first see them for what they are. Every fear that tells you you cannot, every doubt that whispers you will fail, every belief that says this is impossible, all of them are chains. And here is the most shocking truth. The chains are only powerful because you give them power. The second you refuse to believe the lie, the second you decide to trust God's design for your life instead of your own limitations, the chains begin to fall. But breaking free is not passive. It requires action. It requires bold steps, uncomfortable steps, and sometimes even steps that others do not understand. You see, the chains of self-limitation are designed to keep you safe, but safe is not where greatness lives. Greatness lives on the other side of fear. Greatness lives where faith outgrows doubt. Greatness lives in the tension between what you think you can do and what God knows you were created to do. And every time you take one of those steps, you loosen the hold of those chains and you move closer to the life that was written for you before the foundation of the world. But there is a secret many never understand. They want freedom, yet they resist the breaking process. They want blessings, yet they fear the breaking of old patterns. They long for victory, yet they cling to the familiar cage of limitation. The truth is this: God's power is revealed most clearly in the moments when you refuse to be limited, when you defy the boundaries you once accepted as reality. And once you begin to break these chains, once you truly step into the freedom that is waiting for you, you will see doors open, paths appear, and destinies collide in ways you never imagined possible. So ask yourself right now, will you stay chained to old thinking? Or will you take the bold step that shatters the limitations and sets your life on a course no one could have predicted? Because what comes next is not just freedom, it is the awakening of the power that has been waiting for you all along. Have you ever wondered why so many people stand on the edge of greatness, yet never step forward? Why dreams remain unfulfilled, promises go unclaimed, and destinies lie dormant? The answer is simple, yet profound. Fear. Fear is a masterful thief. It disguises itself as caution, as wisdom, as protection, but in reality, it stops you from walking into what God has prepared for you. And here is the most important truth: your destiny will never wait for your comfort. It is calling you now, and the only way to answer is for your faith to outgrow your fear. Think about this for a moment. Every time fear rises in your heart, it is not there by accident. Fear is the natural enemy of faith. It will whisper lies. It will paralyze your steps. It will try to convince you that the risk is too great, that you are too small, that the timing is wrong. But hear me carefully. The moment your faith grows stronger than your fear, that is the moment your life begins to change. That is the moment the impossible begins to bow to the possible. That is the moment you stop waiting for permission and start walking boldly into your calling. Faith is not a passive feeling. It is not a hope that something good might happen. Faith is an active decision to trust what God has spoken over your life, even when the evidence says otherwise. Faith is the fuel that propels you past the what-ifs and the I can'ts. And the remarkable thing is this: the more you step into faith, the smaller fear becomes. The more you take that next step, the more your confidence in God's plan grows. Faith is like a muscle. It strengthens with use, and the more you exercise it, the greater your reach, the bolder your steps, and the higher your vision. But here is where many stumble. They want the blessings, yet they resist the challenge. They want success, yet they refuse to leave the familiar. They pray for destiny, yet they shrink in the face of risk. Understand this: destiny is never found in comfort zones. Destiny is found where faith faces fear and refuses to bow. Destiny is found when you make the choice to act, when you make the decision to move, when you refuse to let the doubts in your mind dictate the limits of your life. Now, imagine the life that awaits you when your faith finally outgrows your fear. Imagine doors opening that you never knew existed, opportunities appearing that you never imagined possible, and a boldness rising within you that cannot be contained. Every step forward is a declaration, a statement to the world and to heaven that you are no longer living for the ordinary, but you are stepping into the extraordinary. And once faith becomes stronger than fear, once you step past what holds others back, you begin a journey that will transform not only your life, but the lives of those around you. So the question you must ask yourself today is this: will you allow fear to keep you small? Or will you take that decisive step, knowing that your destiny is calling, and that faith is the only thing powerful enough to break through? Because the next step you take will determine not just what you achieve, but who you become in the process. Have you ever stopped to consider that the greatest force in the universe is already within you? That the same power that created the heavens, that separated the seas, that spoke life into existence, desires to work through your life today. Yet, so many of us struggle, striving with our own strength, trying to force results, thinking that our plans, our abilities, our effort alone can bring the breakthrough we seek. But the truth is this: the moment you allow God to work through you, not just beside you, not just above you, but through you, that is the moment your life will begin to explode with possibilities you never imagined. Why do we resist this? Why do we insist on doing it all ourselves, carrying burdens that were never meant for us to bear alone? It is because we are accustomed to control, accustomed to measuring progress with human understanding. Yet, the divine works in ways we cannot always see, in timing we cannot always predict, and through methods that often seem impossible. And this is where faith must take its stand. Faith is not passive, it is an invitation, a surrender, a declaration that you trust the one who knows the beginning from the end. Imagine what your life would look like if you stopped striving in your own strength, if you stopped trying to manufacture results through your own effort, and simply allowed God to flow through you. Every action, every decision, every word spoken would carry divine weight. Obstacles that once seemed insurmountable would crumble. Opportunities that appeared unreachable would be placed before you. Relationships, finances, purpose, destiny, they would all align in a way that proves the power of letting God work, not around you, but through you. But here's the critical truth most people miss. Letting God work through you requires surrender. It requires humility. It requires putting aside pride, ego, and the illusion that you know best. Many resist because they fear loss of control, yet control is only an illusion. The reality is this: when God works through your life, you are not losing control. You are gaining authority, influence, and impact beyond anything you could produce on your own. And every time you surrender a little more, the flow of divine power becomes stronger, more precise, more unstoppable. Yet, few truly understand that this is not a one-time act. It is a daily choice. Every morning, every decision, every moment offers an opportunity to either resist or release the divine within you. And the remarkable thing is, the more you release, the more God magnifies your life, and the more doors of purpose swing open that were once hidden behind human limitations. So, let me ask you today, will you continue to carry the burden alone? Or will you step aside and let the creator of the universe, the author of destiny, work through your life? Because the next moment, the next step, will determine whether you struggle with ordinary effort or soar with extraordinary power. And that step leads directly into the release of every gift, every talent, and every blessing placed within you. Have you ever wondered why, despite your prayers, your efforts, and your faith, certain blessings seem to elude you? Why doors remain closed, opportunities pass you by, and dreams linger just beyond your reach? The answer is simpler than most people think, yet it is profoundly challenging. You are the one blocking the flow of blessings that were meant for you. Yes, you, the one who doubts, hesitates, resists, or insists on doing things your own way. You are standing in the very path of what God has prepared, and until you step aside, nothing changes. Think about it. How many times have you said, "I want more," yet refused to release control? How many times have you prayed for abundance, yet held tightly to old fears, old habits, old patterns that no longer serve you? Every restriction you impose upon yourself, every limit you accept, Every choice to distrust the divine plan is like putting a dam across the river of blessings. And the truth is, God's plan cannot fully manifest where resistance exists. Blessings cannot flow through fear, through doubt, or through the insistence that things happen on your timetable instead of His. This is where awareness becomes critical. To stop blocking your blessings, you must first recognize the areas of resistance in your life. Are you holding on to resentment, refusing to forgive? Are you clinging to comfort, afraid to step into the unknown? Are you attempting to do everything on your own instead of partnering with the power that created you? Every act of holding back, every decision to control the outcome is a block to the very abundance and destiny that is waiting for you. But here's the good news. Once you identify the block, you can release it. Once you acknowledge the resistance, you can step aside. This is not weakness, this is wisdom. This is strength. When you choose to release God's plan, when you choose to trust, when you choose to align yourself with divine timing, the river of blessings flows freely. The walls that seemed insurmountable crumble. The opportunities that were hidden in the shadows come into the light. And your life begins to operate in a rhythm, a momentum, a divine orchestration that you could never produce on your own. Yet, many stop short. They long for the blessings, but they resist the process. They want the manifestation, but they fear the transformation. They desire the harvest, yet they refuse to plant in obedience. Understand this. Blessings are not merely given, they are released through alignment, through faith, through action that honors the plan. And when you finally release your grip, when you step out of the way and allow God's plan to move unhindered, that is when miracles, favor, and destiny collide in ways that overwhelm the imagination. So I ask you now, are you willing to stop blocking what God wants to do through your life? Are you willing to let go of control, to trust, to step into the fullness of His plan? Because the moment you do, the next door opens, the next opportunity arrives, and the next chapter of your life begins in a way that will forever change your story. Have you ever noticed how the size of your thinking determines the size of your life? Small thinking produces small results. Limited thinking produces limited impact. Yet, so many people settle for ordinary, for mediocre, for what feels safe, simply because they never learned to think beyond the boundaries of their current circumstances. But let me tell you something. God did not create you to think small. He did not design you to play tiny. He created you to leave a mark, to influence generations, to impact the world in ways that will echo long after you are gone. The question is simple. Are you ready to think bigger than you ever thought possible? You see, small thinking is a silent thief. It convinces you that you are not enough, that your ideas are too insignificant, that your dreams are unrealistic. And because you believe it, you limit your actions, you hold back your gifts, and you settle for less than what God intended. But divine impact begins the moment you refuse to shrink, the moment you refuse to be confined by fear, by doubt, by past failures. It begins when you allow your vision to expand beyond what the eye can see, beyond what the world expects, and into the realm of God's infinite possibilities. Think about the great movers of destiny, the ones whose lives changed nations, whose influence reshaped history. Do you think they were limited by circumstances? No. Do you think they were constrained by what others thought was possible? Absolutely not. What they had was the courage to think beyond, to dream beyond, to step into a reality that required faith larger than fear. And that is exactly what is being asked of you. The size of your impact will always correspond to the size of your thinking. But there is a trap most people fall into. They want the impact, yet they refuse the mental stretch. They want the results, yet they cling to limited visions. They long for transformation, yet they resist changing their perspective. Understand this. To create divine impact, your thinking must evolve. Your mindset must rise above the noise of doubt, criticism, and small expectations. You must train yourself to see not what is, but what could be. You must dare to imagine, to innovate, to take steps that others deem impossible. Because the world does not remember the cautious, the content, the comfortably small. It remembers those who think beyond themselves, those who act boldly, those who step fully into the potential God has placed within them. So, ask yourself, are you thinking small, or are you ready to embrace a mindset that aligns with your divine potential? Are you willing to let go of limitation and expand into the influence you were born to carry? Because the moment you do, your life stops being ordinary. Your gifts stop being dormant. Your impact stops being delayed. And when you fully embrace this, the ripple effect begins. A ripple that will touch lives, transform communities, and change the course of destiny itself. The time has come to reject small thinking. The time has come to step boldly into your God-given vision. The time has come to stretch, to reach, to rise. No longer live beneath your potential. No longer settle for what is comfortable. The world is waiting for the greatness you have held back. Step into it, own it, live it, and watch as your life becomes a divine force, powerful, unstoppable, and eternally impactful.